You're watching Personal Finance with Coach Kelvin. Let's get into the video. Hey guys, Coach Kelvin here. Today I'm going to talk to you about a home ownership strategy called rentvesting. Now, rentvesting is basically a concept that allows you to get into the property market in an area that you wish to live later on down the track, but you're going to then rent your house out while paying down that loan, and you're going to rent yourself somewhere else. So this is going to aid you with the tax benefits of renting out your property. So you can claim depreciation, you can claim any interest that you're paying on that loan against the income that it produces by renting it out, and any upgrades or any work you wish to do to that property, you're able to actually do that while you're renting it out and therefore claim some of that back on your tax return. Now, if you wish to work in the city, for example, and the cost of living there is extremely high, to purchase a property there may not actually make sense for you. So renting a room or renting an apartment is going to be a lot more cost effective, while you then own a house perhaps over in the hills or by the ocean, which you'd actually like to live in later on down the track upon retirement or when you decide to have a family. But you're not having to then commute to work because you're renting closer to where you work. So what's really great about this strategy, you get the chance to still build up your property investment portfolio, and you get to eventually move into a house that's potentially paid off, or you've done work to it to get it to the point you wish to have it when you move in to live. But in the meantime, your commuting time, your cost of living, etc. is a bit lower because you're simply renting somewhere else. Now, one thing I love about rentvesting, and I actually do this strategy myself, is what my mortgage costs is actually less than what my house rents out for. And then the rent I pay for where I'm living currently is less again. So I'm actually making a little bit of a difference here, okay? So I'm going to explain how this is. Now, my interest repayments on my property are about $560 per month. I rent my property out for $340 a month, and I pay $250 where I live, okay? So on the difference between what my tenants pay and what I pay for where I live, okay, I'm earning essentially $90 there a week. Now, I don't obviously see this as an earning, it's more of a saving, but you're essentially creating extra cash that you can deploy elsewhere by using this method. And this allows me to put more money into the stock market, which is a strategy that really works for me because I wish to improve and increase my stock market portfolio over time and grow my dividends. So I look at that as like a passive income of $90 per week before expenses, okay? Now, to rent my house out, I obviously pay a property manager, and I pay them a rate of 7.7% of all my rental earnings. I then have to pay all my insurances. I then have to pay for my land rates, water rates, and anything else that may come up, maintenance, repairs, and any sort of gardening or something like that. So there are definitely other expenses that my property incurs, but that's actually all able to be withdrawn down from the rental earnings when it comes to tax time. So there are some benefits to all of this. Where I rent, I simply pay for my electricity, my water, and my rent bills, and that is it. So it's extremely easy to manage. I don't have to worry about any of the money coming out of my actual property I own because it's all done by my property manager. All I do is wake up on the last day of every month, I receive my ownership statement, and all of that money gets put into my bank, ready for me to deploy into the share market. I still pay my mortgage every week as if I was still living in it. So I just do a flat rate of $500 into that mortgage every week. So I'm putting down $2,000 a month, okay? However, I don't actually need to add anything more or top up what I'm getting from my rent. I just take that and deploy elsewhere. That pays for all of my shares investing, and then I also pay my rent where I live. So this is a fantastic strategy, and it works very well for me as a person who lives alone. I work closer to the city, so the cost of ownership is a lot higher. Therefore, I rent just a little one-bedroom apartment for $250 a week, while renting out my whole townhouse for $340 a week. This is extremely efficient for me. Now, rentvesting makes a lot of sense as well if you plan to buy a bigger house, but you're not really at the size where your family requires that right now. So let's, for example, say that your plan is with you and your partner, or when you eventually meet the right person, you wish to have, say, two children. So you want to buy a 4-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house now, okay, and start paying it down so that by the time you wish to utilize that house, it's already paid down a little bit, or you've, done the work to it to get it to that standard of living you wish to have. If you purchase it now, then by the time you get to that point in your life where you're ready for it, you may not have to pay tomorrow's rate for it. So you may actually be making a bit of capital appreciation in the meantime while owning it. Like I said, you can claim some of the money you spend on getting that up to the standard. You can depreciate items within the house, and you can also claim the interest off your tax. So this is very efficient. But where you rent, you're not going to be renting such a big property. You might rent just that 1-bedroom apartment because that's all you require as a no children, dual income couple, or just a single person. You don't need a big house. You don't need lots of space to put lots of things because you are just running solo or just as a couple, and therefore you don't want to pay for extra room that you cannot utilize or won't utilize. You can always arbitrage this a little better by potentially you rent a 3 or 4-bedroom house, and then you get mates in, or you rent those rooms out separately, or all of you go out onto the lease, because obviously you need to disclose that in your lease that you have other people living with you. But this will again reduce that cost of living. So if you can find, let's say, very simple numbers here, for $400 a 4-bedroom house in the location you need that's close to work, you rent out all 3 bedrooms that would normally be spare, and you live in the other one. Then let's say you're able to rent those rooms out for $120 a week each, or something, okay? So you're going to earn $360 to pay a $400 rent. Okay, that's pretty phenomenal. Now, how does that work out to be? Your rent is going to cost $40. Now, this is a little tricky to find the right people to live with, and would they be willing to pay more than what a quarter of the full rent is? But you may be able to negotiate that you cover the bills, or you do the yard maintenance or something. Now, when you sort of take full control and you work as like the property manager of that rental, you can really utilize your manpower or woman power to get the best return on the people and the time. So if, for example, you do manage to work out this scenario where a $400 house, you rent out 3 rooms, you live in the other room, and you're earning $360 of rent from those 3 housemates, that $40 is going to cost you very little in comparison to your full weekly earnings, giving you more funds to pay down your mortgage loan with and do the works on the property you wish while rent vesting. Or you can deploy some more funds into your share portfolio, or you can, go and have a holiday here and there and lighten up the frugality from time to time to enjoy little things within your life. Because whilst we are chasing fire and we're wanting to achieve financial independence young, there's no point running yourself into the ground to do so. So this could free up some funds for you to also, have a little more enjoyment. Go out and have a beer with your friends. Go have a little 3-week holiday overseas, flights permitting. So rent vesting is a brilliant strategy. You can literally use it anywhere in the world, okay? And what I love about it is it allows you to still build your property assets up, if that is your goal, but still live in a convenient location for you at the present time. So you don't even need to live close to where the property you own is. It does not matter. Let's say, using Australia as an example, since I do live here, okay, that I purchased a house on the other side of the country in Queensland, and this is actually a real example. I have a property in Queensland. I live in Perth, in the city where I work. Later on in my life, if I ever wish to go and live in that Queensland property, I have the flexibility and the option to do so. But in the meantime, where it doesn't make sense for me to live there, because all of my work and my social network and everything I wish to be involved around is here in Perth, in Western Australia, then I just simply rent out my Queensland property, and when I get to the point I decide that I may want to go there, the option is available. However, I could also use my other investment property here in Perth to live in later on if I wish to do so. For the time being, none of my work is located around that property, and therefore living closer to the city where I currently am is the strategy that makes the most sense. So you could even do this with property in another country. Let's say you wanted to purchase a house in New Zealand or the United States or Canada or wherever it is in the world you wish to live later on or holiday to in the future. You can purchase that house, okay? You still live in Australia, you earn your amazing Australian wages, you rent somewhere, and you try and divert all of your excess funds into paying down that loan, so that when the time comes that you can live in that property, you're going to have very little loan commitments, if any at all. Your cost of living will be lower potentially, okay? And you're going to have saved a lot on your taxable income in the meantime while getting to the point of paying down that loan. So rent vesting is really like the golden child scenario of developing your property portfolio if you do not wish to have lots and lots of properties. If you're looking to have maybe 2, 3, 4, then I think rent vesting is a brilliant way to go. We can talk about house hacking later on, where you can build up a portfolio a lot quicker using similar to the renting strategy I just went through, where you rent your rooms out separately. But house hacking is a lot more frugal, and it could be likened to even couch surfing if you wish to go down that path. But for now, we'll talk about rent vesting today. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and perhaps it's opening up a strategy that you weren't aware of that you could utilize down the track in order to build your property portfolio, or at least retire with a house paid off eventually, whilst working and living in a location that really made sense for the time being. If you got any value from this video, please like, share and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.